Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine this. You've built a strong fortress, layered with external defenses. But then a quiet alarm sounds. The threat isn't outside, it's from within.
Yeah.
Today, we're diving deep into insider threats, and it's, a category far broader and honestly more surprising than you might think.
Absolutely. It covers a lot of grounds.
Right. Everything from, a disgruntled employee to a simple, honest mistake.
Hmm.
Our mission today is, to unpack 10 distinct ways these internal threats can pop up in any organization.
Okay.
And more importantly, we're going to show how privileged access management, or PAM, acts as this really crucial defense.
Yeah, PAM's key here.
And it's not just for the cybersecurity teams, right? It's about safeguarding your whole operation, your data, your finances, even your reputation.
Exactly. It impacts everything.
So this isn't about getting bogged down in super technical specs. It's about giving you the strategic understanding you need to protect your organization from these subtle vulnerabilities.
Right. And when we talk about PAM, at its heart, it's really about control.
Control. Okay.
Think of it like a central nervous system for your most sensitive digital access points.
Good analogy.
It makes sure only the right people have the specific permissions they need exactly when they need them.
Yeah.
And crucially, that every action is, transparent, trackable.
So accountability.
Yes, accountability. It's about turning those potential internal weak points into strengths, really.
All right, let's dig into maybe the most chilling one first. The malicious insider.
Yeah, that's the scary one.
These are people who intentionally cause harm. We're talking deliberate data theft, sabotage.
Huge financial losses, potentially.
Massive financial losses, and deep cuts to a company's reputation. It's a real betrayal.
It truly is. And when someone's intentionally trying to cause harm from the inside, detection gets really nuanced.
Because they're already trusted, right?
Exactly. They're past your initial defenses. So you're looking for indicators like unusual spikes in data transfers.
Like downloading tons of files suddenly.
Precisely. Or access attempts to systems way outside their normal job function, or even just weird working hours logging in at 3 a.m. from, somewhere strange. But the real insight here, I think, beyond just the technical signs, is realizing this isn't just a tech problem. It's a huge breach of trust.
Yeah.
And PAM helps by drastically limiting the blast radius if that trust is violated.
Okay, so how exactly does PAM step in? How does it tackle this, intentional betrayal?
Well, it does it mainly by rigorously enforcing what we call least privilege.
Least privilege, heard that term.
Yeah. Imagine giving someone only the exact key they need for, say, one specific drawer, not the master key to the whole building.
Got it. Minimum necessary access.
Exactly. Users only get the access they absolutely need to do their job, nothing more.
Okay, what else?
PAM also provides comprehensive session monitoring.
So watching what they do.
Essentially, yeah, recording every action taken during a privileged session. And it uses advanced analytics, AI sometimes.
To flag suspicious stuff automatically.
You got it.
Yeah.
Flags suspicious activity in real time. So it isn't just about catching the bad actor after the fact. It's about deterring them and limiting their impact by just removing those opportunities for abuse.
Makes sense. Okay, while malice is chilling, you mentioned earlier that often threats aren't about bad intent. It's just human error.
Negligent employees.
Right, negligent employees. The impact here might be accidental data leaks, maybe unintentional compliance violations, just people making mistakes.
And what's often overlooked, I think, is just how often human error turns out to be the weakest link in the security chain. It's kind of fascinating, but also worrying.
Yeah.
We see this constantly with, poor password hygiene, employees using password 123 or
reusing the same password everywhere.
Exactly, reusing them across multiple accounts. Or, and this is a big one, clicking on phishing links without thinking.
The phishing emails, they look so real sometimes.
They do, and that click inadvertently opens the door. It's a constant battle, really, against human nature and just the speed we all work at now.
So this feels like a place where PAM could really shine, right? Automating away some of those human slip-ups.
Absolutely. PAM automates critical security hygiene. It handles the credentials, makes sure they're created securely, stored in a secure vault.
So employees don't have to remember them or write them down.
Precisely. No more sticky notes.
Yeah.
And it can enforce multi-factor authentication, MFA.
That extra code from your phone, that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. That second layer of verification beyond just the password makes it much, much harder for attackers, even if they do manage to steal the password.
Okay.
And the strategic value there is huge. You reduce the chance of human error, which protects sensitive data. You free up your IT teams from constant password resets,
Always a plus.
always. And you just fundamentally strengthen your compliance posture. It's a win-win-win.
Let's talk about compromised credentials. This sounds like when legitimate logins fall into the wrong hands,
That's it.
leading to unauthorized access, data breaches. The tricky part seems to be that an outsider suddenly looks like a trusted insider.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, compromised credentials are often the sort of stealthy entry point for external attackers.
Right, they put on the insider's disguise.
Yeah, they impersonate a legitimate user. So what you're looking for are those anomalies again, like unusual login locations.
Someone logging in from a country they've never visited.
For instance, yeah. Or maybe a whole flurry of failed login attempts, which could signal a brute force attack, someone just trying password after password.
Hmm.
The key challenge is spotting an enemy who's wearing your own team's uniform, basically.
So how does PAM help seal these entry points? How does it unmask these digital imposters?
Well, PAM works to limit the window of opportunity. A big part of that is implementing just-in-time access, JIT.
JIT, okay. So access only when needed.
Exactly. Access is granted only when it's needed and just for the time it's needed. It's not persistent, always-on access. Think of it like a temporary key card that expires after, say, 5 minutes.
That drastically reduces the attack surface, I imagine.
Hugely. It also continuously monitors authentication patterns, and it uses adaptive access control,
Meaning?
meaning it can challenge or deny access based on context. Like, if a user tries to log in from a brand new device or an unusual network, it might ask for extra proof or just block it.
Smart. Adapts to the risk.
Right. It doesn't just block things blindly, it intelligently adapts to real-time threats. That helps prevent those costly data breaches before they really escalate.
Okay, let's widen the lens a bit now. Third-party vendors.
Ah, yes. The supply chain.
We bring these partners in, give them access to our systems,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes their security posture, if it's weak, becomes our weak spot.
Yeah, and that can lead directly to breaches within our own house.
Mm-hmm.
This really raises an important question about managing trust, beyond your own four walls, across your whole ecosystem.
What usually goes wrong there?
Well, what often happens is vendors get overly broad access permissions.
Yeah.
Way more than they need.
It's easier to give them admin rights sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Or they're just a complete lack of access expiration policies. Their contract ends, the project's done, but their access lingers for months, years sometimes.
Wow. Open doors.
Exactly. It's an uncontrolled expansion of your digital perimeter, leaving these doors wide open.
So how does PAM bring governance to that? How do you hold vendors accountable but still let them do their jobs?
PAM can grant temporary, time-limited access with very specific controls.
Okay.
And every single action they take while they're in your systems is meticulously logged, constantly monitored.
Like a chaperone.
Sort of, yeah. Like giving a contractor a specific key just for the time they're working, and you log every time they come and go. And importantly, PAM enables automated revocation.
So when the job's done, poof, access gone.
Instantly. Access vanishes. This isn't just about security, though. It's about vendor accountability. It mitigates those supply chain risks significantly, and it enforces that least privilege principle, even for your external partners.
Keeping your own house secure even while you collaborate? Okay, next up is a particularly sensitive one. Departing employees.
Always tricky.
Most exits are fine, of course, but that period around someone leaving can be a real risk. Data exfiltration, taking stuff with them, or even outright sabotage.
Yeah, and what's often underestimated is that very narrow window of risk.
Yeah.
Right before they announce they're leaving and immediately after.
What should you look for?
Well, last-minute anomalies. Maybe large file downloads from someone who just handed in their notice. Or suddenly accessing sensitive data that isn't normally part of their job, in those final days or weeks. It's a critical time when intellectual property, client lists, that kind of thing is super vulnerable.
So how does PAM help make those transitions smooth, but more importantly, secure?
PAM automates the deprovisioning workflows. That's key.
Deprovisioning, meaning cutting off access.
Exactly. Ensuring all access is immediately and completely revoked right when they're terminated. No lingering accounts for former employees to potentially exploit.
Right. Shut the door firmly.
Firmly and automatically. And beyond that, PAM can monitor what we call exit behaviors. It flags unusual activity in those final days or weeks.
So you have a record if something looks off.
Yes, which enables forensic audits if needed later. The strategic value here is huge. Protecting your IP, preventing data loss, and just minimizing those insider threats during what can be a very vulnerable time for any organization.
Let's shift gears slightly to careless privileged users.
Okay.
These are folks inside who have elevated access, sysadmins, network engineers, but they might accidentally expose sensitive systems. Even experts make mistakes, right?
Oh, absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, even your most highly skilled users, people with the keys to the kingdom, can inadvertently create massive security gaps.
So it's not malice here, just oversight.
Exactly. It's often about convenience or just a moment of carelessness.
Yeah.
What we often see is something as simple as storing super sensitive credentials in unsecured places,
Like where?
maybe on their desktop, in a personal email draft, or, and you still see it, believe it or not, on a sticky note under the keyboard.
Oh, well, still.
Still. And a simple mistake like that by someone with high privileges can have this huge cascading impact.
So how does PM govern those with the most power? Ensure their access is efficient, but also, safe.
Well, PAM provides that comprehensive session recording we mentioned.
The monitoring again.
Right. Every action during a privileged session is logged, fully auditable. It's like having a security camera watching over every critical system interaction. It also restricts privilege elevation, meaning even privileged users can't just access anything they want whenever they want. They might need specific approval for a risky task or have their privileges elevated only for a short time.
Adding checks and balances.
Exactly. It ensures accountability and significantly reduces that exposure risk from accidental misuse. It's about building guardrails, even for your most trusted people, which strengthens your overall security from the top down.
Now, what about privileged business users? This isn't just IT, right?
Correct. This is moving beyond the tech side.
We're talking maybe finance managers, HR leads,
Oh.
people with high-level access within core business apps.
Yes. And the impact here could be unauthorized changes to crucial financial records or sensitive HR data, things like that.
That raises an important question, doesn't it? About maintaining integrity, those checks and balances within the core business itself.
It absolutely does. What you're looking for here are things like someone altering financial reports without going through the proper approval workflow.
Bypassing controls.
Exactly. Or attempting to bypass established policy controls within, say, an ERP system or a financial platform. The risk isn't just technical. It's about the fundamental integrity of your business data and processes.
So how does PAM bring structure to those kinds of critical access points? It sounds different from managing server access.
It applies the same principles, though. PAM restricts access to these sensitive business systems with very fine-grained controls.
So maybe someone can view reports but not change them.
Precisely that level of detail. And critically, it enforces robust approval workflows for any significant changes. Imagine needing a second person, a manager maybe, to sign off before a large financial transaction can actually be processed.
Like dual control.
Exactly. And it maintains comprehensive audit trails. Every change, every access attempt is recorded and attributable to a specific user. This isn't just about preventing technical breaches anymore. It's about enhancing financial integrity, preventing fraud, and ensuring you meet those critical audit compliance requirements for your core business operations.
Okay, let's tackle insider collusion. This sounds particularly nasty.
It is more sophisticated, definitely more troubling.
We're talking multiple people inside, maybe even working with external actors collaborating to do harm.
Yes, and the impact is severe. Coordinated fraud, large-scale IP theft, maybe organized data exfiltration.
What's fascinating, maybe in a scary way, is how sophisticated these threats can be.
Right. They often involve multiple actors working together specifically to bypass the security controls that might catch a single person.
So what do you even look for? How do you spot a conspiracy?
It's subtle. You're looking for unusual collaboration patterns, maybe employees and specific vendors interacting in ways they normally don't, or a sudden, unexplained shift in behavior across several individuals all at once. It's like trying to see the whole picture from lots of tiny, seemingly unrelated dots.
That sounds incredibly difficult to detect manually.
Almost impossible, really.
So how does PAM help uncover these hidden networks, prevent these coordinated attacks?
This is where advanced behavior analytics really come into play. PAM solutions increasingly use AI-driven anomaly detection.
AI again.
Yeah, to identify patterns that just don't fit typical user behavior, even when looking across multiple accounts or multiple users simultaneously. It's designed specifically to spot those coordinated movements.
Interesting.
It also relies heavily on approval-based privileged access, making sure risky actions need sign-off, and uses dynamic access policies that can actually adapt if suspicious patterns emerge.
So the system itself gets smarter about potential collusion.
That's the idea. And the business value is critical. Detecting complex fraud attempts much earlier, preventing data leaks from these coordinated efforts, and basically safeguarding your most valuable company assets from organized internal threats.
Okay, next up. Shadow IT activities.
Shadow IT. Always a challenge.
This is when employees, often meaning well, right, they start using unapproved tools or cloud services because maybe it's faster or easier for them.
Exactly. They think it helps them do their job better.
But the impact is introducing unapproved stuff, creating unforeseen vulnerabilities that IT doesn't even know about.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, shadow IT is really about the uncontrolled expansion of your organization's digital footprint.
Sprawl.
Digital sprawl, yeah. Creating these security gaps that aren't managed, aren't secured, because IT has no visibility into them.
What are the signs?
You're looking for things like unauthorized software installations popping up on company laptops, employees using personal cloud storage Dropbox, Google Drive for sensitive company data, or maybe using unapproved USB drives.
Just trying to get the job done, but creating risks.
Exactly. It's this unmanaged explosion of risk, often driven by convenience.
So how does PAM address this? How do you bring order to what feels like, well, digital chaos sometimes?
PAM helps put the control back where it belongs with the organization. It can actually restrict the ability to install or even run unapproved applications.
So block things that aren't on an approved list.
Yes, application control or allow listing.
Mm.
Only sanctioned software is active on company devices. It can also offer just-in-time elevation if an employee does need to temporarily install something that's been pre-approved for a specific task.
Okay, so flexibility within limits.
Right. And when you couple this with endpoint security integration, you get a much more holistic view of what's actually happening on individual devices. This isn't just about saying no, it's about reducing overall IT risk, making sure you're compliant with your own policies, and preventing those nasty security vulnerabilities from popping up in totally unexpected places.
Okay, finally, number 10, unintentional data handlers.
The everyday mistakes.
Here, the impact is simply misplaced or accidentally shared sensitive data. Probably no malicious intent at all.
Right. Arguably the most common, maybe the most persistent threat day to day.
This really raises an important question about just everyday work practices, doesn't it? And the constant potential for human error when we're handling data.
Constantly. What you're looking for are things like, well, sharing sensitive customer data over unsecured channels.
Like personal email.
Personal email, consumer chat apps, maybe those unapproved cloud services we just talked about. Or simply misplacing a laptop or a phone that contains confidential information. It boils down to fundamental data hygiene and just how easy it is for mistakes to happen when people are busy.
So how does PAM help secure that very last mile, the actual handling of data, even when there's no bad intent?
PAM can restrict privileged file access, ensuring sensitive files are only accessed under controlled conditions by authorized users. It also enforces comprehensive logging on data transfers, so you know who accessed what, when, where it went. That's an invaluable audit trail.
Accountability again.
Exactly. And beyond just access, these solutions can help encrypt sensitive data, both when it's stored at rest and when it's being sent in transit. And they can enforce secure file sharing policies across the whole organization.
So guiding users towards safer practices.
Right. The business value is immense. It prevents data breaches from those simple, accidental leaks. It helps ensure you're compliant with all those data protection regulations, GDPR, CCPA, you name it. And fundamentally, it protects your confidential information from the most common source of problems, everyday human mistakes.
Wow. Okay, so reflecting back, what have we learned? We've just walked through 10 distinct, pretty critical ways insider threats can show up.
Yeah, quite a spectrum.
Right. From the really malicious hacker operating from within, all the way down to the well-meaning employee who just makes a simple accidental mistake. It really is a vast landscape of vulnerability.
It is. And as we've seen across all these examples, a robust privilege access management solution, a good PAM strategy, provides this really comprehensive, multi-layered defense.
Against that whole spectrum.
Exactly. It works through tight access control, through continuous monitoring, and through proactive security measures. At its core, PAM is really about reducing those internal risks, ensuring compliance, and protecting your most sensitive assets, all from threats that start inside your own walls.
So ultimately, just understanding these diverse threats, really getting your head around the malicious intent and the subtle dangers of human error, that seems like the essential first step.
It absolutely is. Mitigation starts with understanding, seeing that full, nuanced spectrum of vulnerabilities that exist inside any organization.
Yeah.
And the ultimate goal here really is to shift mindset. Move away from just reactive damage control after something bad happens.
Cleaning up the mess.
Right, towards proactive prevention, building a stronger, more resilient security posture from within the organization. It's about designing security into how you operate, not just, bolting it on as an afterthought.
That makes a lot of sense. So here's a final thought maybe for our listeners to chew on. Given all these ways insider threats can emerge, this wide and varied landscape, how might an organization effectively balance implementing these kinds of strict security measures we've talked about with fostering an environment of trust and innovation among its employees? Where's that balance point?